Right.
Hello, all my well-balanced solopreneurs. Look who I found. Wait, I can't tell what side they're on. I'm confused. It's all backwards.
Either way, you're balanced.
Thank you. Yes, I'm enjoying the Cindy sandwich right now. This is fantastic. How can you not have like so much energy surrounded by these two? I can't even point the right way.
I know, because I am not Megan.
No,
Right?
you're not.
There's some weird parallel universe happening here.
Getting mirrored all over the place. So we decided to hop on today, a little bit impromptu, unscripted as usual, and talk about some changes in the coaching industry. And many of you who are watching or catching the replay know that I went on a rampage a couple weeks ago and have created a program called Impact out of that. And so I brought Megan and Megan and Joy.
We don't technology.
I brought them together to talk about some of the changes that are happening and are coming in the coaching industry. Take it away, ladies.
It's exciting. I love it. We are having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually Joy. We're laughing because everything's reversed in the live. So it looks like I am Megan and I'm not. Anyway, you're not seeing that, so we'll stop.
It's really funny to us.
It's
Right.
really funny to us.
And, it's the end of the day. It's Friday. And we have been, busy working all week. And we've got all kinds of things going on. And one of the big topics, though, that all three of us share is that we definitely want to be a big part of bringing the paradigm shift into the forefront. So it's not that we are in charge of the paradigm shift in any way, shape, or form, other than we feel it coming, just like all of you probably feel it coming. And we're stepping up and saying, I'm no longer going to hold myself back and behave like other people think that I should, or say the things that I think that I should, or any of that, in order to fit into a world that's leaving. So I think that's really, at least that's from my perspective, why I feel like, well, who are we to stand up and start talking about this paradigm shift? We've just, we're just moving through it just the same as everyone else, but we do have some really good perspectives from what we see and experience as coaches who have been doing this for a really long time. So anyway, that's kind of where, so I have a couple of topics in my head, but I was like, I kind of feel like.
Yeah. And I think I love what you're saying, everything that you're saying. And I think a lot of us who, maybe been in the type of industry, whether you're a coach or whether you've been in a service type industry or even a product industry where you're relating with people, you've noticed that there's been this shift happening where a lot of the tools and techniques and strategies that we were maybe taught in school or taught by old mentors that we've worked with, 5, 10, whatever years ago, or even to this day, and we try to apply some of the formulaic type strategies and approaches, and we're like, why is it not working for me? Why is it that it worked a couple of years ago, or it worked for so-and-so, but it's not working for me now? And the reason is because there is stuff changing all around us that isn't always visible and tangible for us to understand. And when we step back and we're like, why is this happening? What's important about this? Why do we need to be aware of it? One of the things that comes up for me is because there's like a situation where there's an accessibility issue where people who need to be able to access information, support, tools, whatever it is, to access change in their own lives, they want to be able to access it easier. And so they're being met, right? Like there's so much available information, so much available products and services, and amazing, beautiful people that have so many wonderful skills. So why is that huge wave coming? Because it's needed.
And I love that, because that starts getting me thinking about, as you were talking, I was thinking about how when we started to notice this happening, and I think it was in this desire to be more visible, in this desire to really take our businesses to a place that was beyond, just we were thinking a bit bigger, right? Instead of working with one-on-one clients, we were thinking, how can we take our businesses to the next level? How can we up level? There's a big movement for that a few years ago. And in that, having questions with other coaches, working with other coaches, asking really honest questions about their business, something that came up was that they weren't actually making as much money as they pretended they were making. So that's something that's been really exposed recently. And I think the reason we're feeling all of these things not working and the paradigm shift coming is because it's been happening for a long time. This isn't a surprise. This isn't all of a sudden. This is, we've been pretending that it's working. We're pretending that the tips and tricks are working. We're pretending that when you have the perfect marketing funnel and when you do these things and you spend $50,000 in ads, then you can make $100,000. When you like, all of this information has been perpetuated for so long, and we've believed it's true because people are investing so much money to tell you it's true. Right? They're showing up live, repeating the same messages over and over again, and that started to crumble, where we could see through it. And I remember that moment, realizing that people that I had trusted in the industry were manipulating. It was like some of them were making money and others were not, and they were only making money because people believed these truths. And it was about the influence and the energy of their belief in it that started to open me up. And I think that's what we're talking about right now, is we're seeing that everywhere. We're seeing this exposed and we're saying it's not okay. But does that mean, I think some of us have gone to this place, and I definitely see this with clients and people online, and I imagine, I mean, we've talked about this, but is if we believe that that's not working, but we're seeing everyone do it, then does that mean that we're just doomed to fail, right? Like, okay, if it doesn't work and that's the only way anybody's doing it, then what does that mean for me?
Is there any other option out there?
Right?
Yes, there is.
Right? Yes. Which leads us now, right?
Yeah.
It leads us to this place of, oh, there is another way. And so, like, I know for the three of us, and probably lots of people who will tune into this, hello on the replay, hello when you tune in, is there's a recognition that some people really are doing really well and they're not doing things the other way. We're not doing things the other way. We're doing things completely different, and we're finding far more success than when we were trying to do it the other way.
Absolutely. And that whole adage of fake it till you make it, it causes discomfort in me, because there is a time when we have to be like, okay, I need to get everything in me and take a step that feels scary. But there's another time of like pretending to be something you're not. And as soon as you try to pretend to be something you're not, or try to like, create this like elevated feeling, it can collapse really quickly. And so it's being aware of what am I growing? What am I expanding? What am I believing? What am I putting my energy into? And if that continues to grow and expand, how do I feel about it? Right. And noticing kind of that slight pivots in some of those belief systems can go wrong or right. And noticing where you're at on that track.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the disruptors, because I think that's really what's happening here. Like Cindy, with what you're doing with Impact, why we feel so pulled to it is because you're interrupting and you're saying, okay, well, expensive coaching isn't necessarily the path. A lot of times expensive coaching is you paying for their marketing. Right?
Yeah.
And you get in there and you're like, I don't even know what just happened. Like, I just gave you a lot of money and I think maybe I learned something, but I'm not really sure. Everybody else is really excited. And like, have you ever been around that energy where everybody else is excited and you're like, I don't get it.
What have I signed up
Why
for?
are you excited? I don't know what's happening here. And then you're like, everybody's like, oh, I'm more excited about the next thing. And so then you like give another $5,000. You're like, what's happening? And so, and then there are, segments of us where it's like, well, you either run out of money or you didn't start off with the kind of funds to make those big mistakes. Thank goodness. But in that big disruptor that's happening now is we're seeing through that. And I think we're getting back to some more pricing stabilization in the help industry, right? Where we realize we don't need to be a high priced coach in order to be of value. We don't need to charge 5 times the value of something just to make sure people know that it's worthwhile, right?
Well, that's one of my favorites.
Right? Yeah. If I don't charge $5,000, then I'm saying that I'm not a good coach, right? And that's a mindset that's changing. So, and I think that the reason for that is because, and I'm saying this, and I'm sort of speaking for the other ladies because we've talked about this. So I'm gonna, I'll definitely, I'll share it and then you guys chime in. But is that there's a shifting that's happening with personal power. So we are learning and becoming open to tapping into our own personal power. we're realizing that power isn't something that only a few have, that other people who happen to be more influential visibly or have bigger lists have all the power. All the money is in the list, all the power is in the list, all these things you've heard, thinking that if I don't build a list, then I'm somehow less than the other coaches and I'll never make it. Nobody will ask me to speak on a podcast. Nobody will ask me to do this thing. I can't be a part of their summit. I can't, wear their cool shirt, whatever it is. And that is one of the big shifts that's happening, is we're going from that place of needing to have more power than others in order to be successful to, guess what? We all have power. And if we rise up together in that power, we are far more influential at changing the world and changing our own lives. So I think that's one of the biggest things that's going to shift. And your program is a big part of opening that up for people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, in being aware of what you're saying, whether it's like the list or the credibility from, appearing on a certain podcast or a certain, experience, or, the credibility from a certain certification or doing certain training with certain elite coaches or whatever, all of that is saying that my power and my capability resides outside of myself.
Right.
It resides in the fact that I talk to the right person, I receive training or support or whatever, or the numbers in my list, or whatever, the website I had designed, the branding I had. It doesn't matter what thing you look at, but as soon as you look to something outside of yourself and say, my credibility, my capability as a coach, my the way I can support my clients is dependent on these pieces outside of myself, you're buying into a system that says that you don't actually own or source your own power from within. Right? Those things can support you. That's great, but they're not the starting point of your power.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
And just imagine coming from that thought, from that place, right? So when you recognize that you have just as much right, but also as much power as anyone next to you in the room, that you don't walk into a networking gathering or a social community like Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or wherever you are. And if you know that you are one with everyone else, if you know that you have the same power accessible to you, you have the same tools, the same skills, the same access to training and true, authentic information that will really serve, imagine how that changes your confidence. Imagine how that changes your ability to just show up and share what you came here to share. And I know, I am of a deep belief that we all have a very particular message that is ours. And even though there are billions of us on this planet, there's not repeating patterns in that. We are all a unique piece of that puzzle. And so if we feel free to share it, then we can have not only a paradigm shift in the coaching industry, but a paradigm shift on the planet, which is really where we're headed. And the coaching industry is just representing part of that shift, is we are opening ourselves up to immense power on the whole playing field of this planet, like what we can create. So
absolutely. And power, when you look at it as where you source your own power, it's truly a renewable resource. The way you renew your power is you tend to yourself. You tend to your own core, your own center, and that grows your power, which means it's unlimited based on the amount of attention you want to devote to yourself. And when you know that, and everybody, if everyone in your space is the same, they source their power from within, what a beautiful, collaborative, growing, expansive place to tap into power. I want to be in a room with a bunch of people who know their power is here.
Right?
I want that.
There's nobody to save. You're all in it together. We're all doing it together. And and it really does start with the small things of where do we get the power back? And so look at the ripple effect, Cindy. Look at what you're doing, right? Yes. You're creating a space that has room for everyone. Right? It's like saying, please come in. We see that we are all the same. Let's all learn these things together. Let's truly lift each other up, not in a way that we're rescuing, but we're saying, hey, as I lift, you lift. We have different pieces for each other. There's different information that you have for me. There's no I'm sorry, I can't learn anything from you. I know everything. And
it's the truly rising tide effect, though, right? It's like the rising tide lifts all. Can you hear that thunder?
See what happens when we get together?
It's electric. Yeah, it's the rising tide, though, and it's knowing that you know, when we do the things to support our vision, our community, what we believe is possible in the world, it lifts all of us up, and we are all better off for it. And, you know, that is like what gets me so excited, right? Knowing there's the synergy of working together, the synergy of when I sit here and do my work and allow that to float out into the world, you take what's right for you and you move with that. And it's vice versa. We all support and collaborate from that place.
Yeah.
And it's like we all get to own our own little genius and our own little spark.
And I think about breaking down the barriers. So I'm just thinking about in general, like you're breaking down the barriers in this group. We're saying, okay, and that's what's happening in the coaching industry. It's no longer about illusion and elitism. It's about, okay, there's an opportunity for us to make a change. There's an opportunity for us to open up, to expand together, and to break down the barriers of cost, of, you know, like knowing somebody, being able to get through the marketing aspect of it. But also even like I was thinking about going live and I'm like, okay, my hair's in a ponytail. I don't know whether or not I still have makeup on. You know,
it's a giggly Friday.
Right? It's like Friday afternoon. I'm like, I don't know. But we're going live anyway. And I think that's something that it'd be really great to be able to have that kind of authenticity everywhere. And I think the coaching industry and the world is craving it, of no longer feeling like in order for me to impact the world, I have to have the right shoes, the right outfit, the right hair, the right makeup, the right set, you know, and oh my gosh, you shouldn't go live if you don't have the right lighting and all these things. It's like, no, guess what? if you have a message, you should go live, right? If you have a message, you should share it with the world. If you are craving a change, you should be able to access information to create a change in your life. There's nobody that's doing it too late, too soon, isn't good enough, none of that. We're totally breaking down those barriers. And if this is sounding unfamiliar to you as a coach, which seems like it'd be weird if you were in this group and thought that, but
you never know.
Right? But I think that anybody who's not sensing that that's the truth, that's still really worried about, you know, showing up and being perfect and creating this illusion that we're further along than we are, or that we somehow have to be on a pedestal or other people are on a pedestal. If those are still norms, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure with that perspective. And more that's going to be true with the shifting that's happening on this planet, with our desire. So many categories of people are sick of what's been going on, right? The politics, the you know, people who believe that they can make choices for us. You know, the people who believe they should have the power. We're so done with that, right?
I think, like, when I look back over the last, 10 years, I think that was one of the hugest gifts that came about the economic collapse that happened in 2008, 2009. What happened, my perspective of how that was a gift for us, is there was some huge corporations and like large organizations that we placed our trust in, and we believed in them because they've been around for a long time. They had fancy buildings, they had fancy offices, they had a lot of education and training and all this stuff, all the beautiful things, right? And so we trusted them. And so we put our faith in them and our money in their bank accounts, and then they collapsed.
Yeah.
And what happened in that collapse was it allowed us to see it's not the outside shiny things that makes or breaks the possibility of growth, transformation, whatever your goal is. It's not that. It's the authenticity, it's the relationship, and it's the community. Now, the gift in that is that we care more about who we do business with, the relationship that we have, and how we feel in that business relationship than we do about, oh, have you been in business for 30 years? And what does your storefront look like? That doesn't matter. We learned that lesson in 2008, 2009, that we care about relationships.
Right.
And this is a deeper level of that lesson, really, of saying, like, the fakeness is fakeness. Let's be real and authentic, because when we do, our light is stronger, which means our power is stronger, right?
Yeah.
And if we come from a place of power, our people can come from a place of power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the community that comes from that, right? So as you're saying that, I'm like, our values are changing as a society in definitely, I would say, some more the Western culture, but I'm guessing that's probably not just the Western culture. I would guess this is all over the world. And, I can only speak from our perspective and what we see most of the time, but we are craving connection, but in a new way. We're craving it in community. We're craving it in, we were talking about this today too. We had so many good chats.
We did.
We're talking about the inclusion of community, instead of having a like-minded perspective, it's like, yes, we all have some similar ideas and we want things to be different. We don't want it to be the old way, but we also are eager to hear each other's ideas, and they don't need to be the same. Like, we are eager for that, like the deep conversation and community where everyone's welcome in the community, not just the people who agree with me.
Right.
Yes.
Right. It's like one step beyond like-minded. It's like we're open-minded and inclusive of a diversity of ideas and belief systems and community and, you know, all those types of things. Because if I invite in conversation and hold space for conversation about ideas that are diverse from mine, we will both grow as a result of that, right? New things will come in, and there's growth potential there. Right. So I love what you're saying so much about, like, so like fired up about diversity of
Somebody's like, I don't know which way to look.
It's all so good.
What's happening?
I'm gonna get a kink in my neck. One of the things that comes up for me a lot with all of this is, a year ago, I was working 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hour days, and burnt out beyond belief, missing some of the most important events of my life because I was chasing the almighty dollar, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what everything online that I have seen in the past has taught me. And when I met Joy, I went, hold on a second. No,
She's different.
she's different. In a good way.
She's weird.
She's my kind of weird. And just working with these two ladies in the last 6 months and connecting with them, I have found my path, and my top value is freedom. So what the fuck am I doing sitting at my desk for 12 hours, 7 days a week? Does that speak freedom? No. And so over the last 6 months, I have changed my business so much that now I only work 20 hours a week.
And you make
And I make more money. And I get to hang out with you two.
Yay!
And I get to talk and speak and collaborate and be with the people that I love to be with. And I do not have to work hard to do it.
So that's the other paradigm shift. That's the other part of the paradigm shift is we don't work hard, but when we do work, we're so focused and we love it, but that we all get to have the abundance, right? We all get to have, you know, and I hate that as just like a toss-in word. We all get to have the amount of wealth we want, you know, the lifestyle that we want. We really can have that. We don't have to chase it. We can just have it because we're willing to be of service, because we're willing to show up. We're willing to be brave, and we're willing to be authentic, and we're willing to not be perfect, and we're willing to take a step back and risk not doing all the things, you know, because we will miss out. Maybe somebody won't see us. Maybe we won't be good enough. You know, we're willing to, like, well, maybe we are, right? And step back. Like, that excites me. But I think a world, you know, I think something that Michelle says a lot too is that, you know, entrepreneurs with a ton of money can change the world.
Yes.
And that is definitely something I agree with wholeheartedly. Is I think we need it in this moment. I think there'll be another paradigm shift around economy. But in the meantime, I think that it's time for us to even the playing field there. And it starts with accessibility.
Yes.
But it also then, from that accessibility, breeds the opportunity to have surplus so that we can continue to do really good work in the world. We're not left out of it. We don't have to stay in accessibility only, right?
Yes.
Anyway.
Ripples.
Right? Yes.
ripples, totally. And if you knew that what you were doing was just going to grow and grow and grow, you wouldn't set the prices at such that created a sense of fear, because why would you? There's no limit to it. It's going to grow and grow and grow. So it starts with that kind of belief system that where I start will continue to expand, right? Where I start will continue to grow. And, you know, investment, price point, what I charge, if there's anything that I want to people to know to be true, the amount of money you pay a coach for a result, it does not determine the quality of the result. The dollar value does not determine
Oh my God,
it.
please no.
So you can get amazing product, services, coaching, support, healing, tools, gifts at a wide variety of price points. Why is that? Because it matters what the relationship is between the consumer and the producer, right? Who is consuming, who is providing, the service provider, whatever, however you want to look at it, the relationship matters. And when you put value into it, yes, money is a component, but there's also time and energy and being aware of how those three play together to determine the output that you receive or the outcome that you receive. It's about more than price.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was funny when you said about work and how much fun it is. I might only work 20 hours a week, but this is work.
Right.
This doesn't feel like work.
This is good work.
This is really fun.
This is good work.
Megan and I have been working since 11.
It's been a really great
a
work
lot like
day.
this the whole day.
I came in and they were playing with tarot cards. That
was fully work.
It was so work.
It is
So
work.
many decisions were being made. Right?
Oh, big ones too. Yeah.
So I would love to invite anyone who resonates with this message, what we are building, what I am building, to come and join us at Impact, because we are going to change the coaching industry. We already are changing the coaching industry. And anybody who joins gets access to On Point in the Right Way. Yes. Yes, ladies. Workshop. Joy is doing a workshop on August 20th.
It's so good.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited
and the
too.
members of Impact get like crazy deals, because that's what I am so obsessed with, keeping prices low and accessible so that everybody can have access to the tools that some of these amazing coaches in my life know and can teach and are willing to share that message with you at a very, very low price. So
and all coaches that you've attracted in who want to give. So
Yes.
you're not super affordable. Like the workshop we're going to do is going to be freaking amazing, and you don't have to pay freaking amazing dollar amounts, right? Like I think that's really important. I think when you're touching on that, people who are of service are of service. Coaches who are of service are of service, and they show up 100% every time, which is really why the cost is irrelevant. It's just a matter of what's unfolding in that program, right? But,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
So juicy. Pretty sure I'm going to get this one to do a workshop too.
We still haven't settled the date, but
Yeah.
I'm in.
I knew you would.
Oh, yeah.
Like putting you on the spot on live.
Oh, I'm in.
I'm going to do sales. I'm going to do a little mini sales craft. So for those of you who are looking to impact your sales, we're going to dive in and have some fun.
So exciting. So I will leave the link.
Hailing.
It is hailing. So much energy right
All
now.
the weather is changing.
Like, woo!
Paradigm shifts since we've been on this live.
Right.
Yeah.
So before you can't hear me, I'm going to leave the link for Impact in the description.
It's like we paid. It's like they're clapping.
Yay! This is our canned clapping sound in the back.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Well, as you can see, we have a lot of fun, and Impact is just more of the same goodness. Come and join us. Bye.